Hey, my name is Jack Early and I live in Brooklyn and I'm a conceptual artist. Recently I've been writing a lot of music and making some fairly large combine paintings. I sort of gave up making art and I promised myself I would never make it or walk into a gallery for the rest of my life. And something happened. I was walking down the street one day and these melodies just started popping in my head and I couldn't get them out, and I was actually writing lyrics to them and forming them as songs. I felt they were pretty good, I guess, and I got musician friends to help me record them, and we laid them down, and 12 years go by and I look back and I thought maybe I never really stopped making art after all. Maybe it just turned into something else. Maybe it just turned into this music. To record those songs was almost like pulling teeth. I don't play an instrument, I don't know how to write music, I just had these melodies in my head. So I would write a little lullaby, and I knew that I wanted to have a violin and a flute. I would resort to things like seeing a girl in the subway carrying a violin case, and I would approach her and ask her if she would lay down this melody for me. So it would take a really long time to get these songs made, and sometimes just we would have a violin track for 2 months, and it would be another 2 months until I got a flute player. And so we sort of pieced them together really slowly over this stretch of time. But looking back 12 years later, I think I had probably 50 songs. And I had even written a musical for children based on a fairy tale I wrote, all in my head, all with musicians playing the instruments that were either friends or I had collected them on the street. I laid it down, put it on CD, and somebody gave the CD to Disney, somebody at Disney, and Disney called me and wanted to turn it into an animated movie. So I knew I could actually write songs at that point. That deal fell through, and probably for the best. I think I'm going to stage that fairy tale probably next year as just a sort of more of a theater piece. Actually, it was really exciting last summer when one of my songs was playing on the radio, and friends would call me and say they were hearing it on the radio. And that was a song that's now the soundtrack for Edie Sedgwick's screen test film, The 13 Most Beautiful. Dean Wareham and Britta Phillips heard me play it at a party and called me the next day, and they had been asked by the Andy Warhol Foundation to score music for 13 of Andy's black and white screen test films, and they needed one more. They needed a song for Edie Sedgwick's, and they heard my song, It Don't Rain in Beverly Hills, and I think Dean and Britta did a beautiful job with that, and now it was on the radio over the summer, and they're playing it all over the world when they tour with the 13 Most Beautiful. For me, that's just me being an artist, and I sort of count that as a major work. And so I came up with this concept to show them, and that's what I'm showing at Daniel Wright Gallery right now. I built this Victrola to play a record that I had pressed, and thinking that this would be my first show since Pruitt and Early had showed the artwork for teenage boys in New York City back in the early 90s, I thought I would sort of tip my hat to that. So I thought of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album cover, and looking at it, I thought that seemed like the perfect vehicle to to take that rainbow and shoot my new work through the prism. And when I stepped back and looked at it, the beam of light that was coming out of the prism was like my journey sort of down that rainbow. And I had sort of come out in this beam of light, and there I was standing in the gallery. I sort of saw that Victrola as me standing in the gallery again after all those years. Something I found out when I stopped making art is that if you're an artist, you really don't stop. It just turns into something else. And whether that be making honey or writing songs or playing the flute. Ever since I've been making artwork, basically what I've been trying to do is just recreate the bedroom that I grew up in when I was a kid. I was really proud of my bedroom, and my mom let me pick out the wallpaper. She let me choose the colors for my furniture. I, of course, went to the store and chose posters. It was carefully curated. even though it was like this, you know, kid's bedroom. I think I spent my whole childhood just lying in bed thinking about the next thing to do to my bedroom, and I've just sort of grown up still doing that. So I think in the work I make, it's still kind of based on me creating the bedroom I had as a kid.